So let me explain how this started. Because domestic violence rarely begins with violence. It begins with something that looks a lot like love. When I got married, I believed I was choosing commitment. I believed I was choosing loyalty. I believed I was choosing forever. But what I didn't recognize at the time was how control was slowly being introduced into the relationship. Not aggressively, not loudly, subtly. It started with small things, questions that felt protective, like where you going, who you with, why didn't you answer the phone? At first, it felt like care. It felt like someone wanted me. It felt like being chosen. And if you've followed this series, you already know my history with that one. When you grow up craving to be or feel chosen, intensity can feel like love. Jealousy can feel like passion. Possessiveness can feel like protection. But here's what I learned later: control often introduces itself as care. And because I had already normalized emotional inconsistency and trauma bonding in previous relationships, my nervous system didn't register the warning signs. It registered familiarity. There were moments where my independence started shrinking, not overnight, gradually. Conversations would turn into accusations. Boundaries would turn into arguments. My tone would be questioned. Example, who you talking to like that? What you raising your voice for? When all I did was respond to your question or your statement. My friendships would be monitored. But every time something felt uncomfortable, it would be followed by affection, apologies, reassurance, promises, gifts. And that cycle is important because abuse doesn't survive without affection. If it was only harm, you would leave faster. It's a mix of control and comfort that confuses you. And here's the truth I didn't understand then: love does not require monitoring, love does not require fear, love does not require you to shrink. But when you've been conditioned to equate intensity with intimacy, you don't immediately call it control. You call it commitment. Looking back now, though, I can see the early signs clearly: the need to dominate conversations, the need to win arguments, the way my emotional reactions were minimized, the way my independence became a threat. But in the beginning, I told myself this is just a marriage. I told myself all couples argue. I told myself he just loves hard. It'll get better. And that's how it starts. Not with a punch, with conditioning. And when conditioning becomes normal, your tolerance increases. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about incarceration and how distance didn't weaken the attachment, it strengthened it. But today, I want you to sit with this. Where have you mistaken control for care? Because sometimes the first red flag isn't loud. I'll tell you mine. In one of the very first conversations we had, I was told Either you do what the fuck I say, or you get from around me. No, wait. Let's do exact words. Either you do what the fuck I say, or get the fuck from around me. Point blank, period. Straight the fuck up. That was his words. And then he laughed. So I thought it was a joke. And I laughed. But he was dead ass serious. Anyway, it's disguised as love. I'll see you tomorrow when we talk about this incarceration thing. Because it came fast. And I stuck around. Like he wasn't expected. So it kind of shook us both. If that makes sense. But we're going to talk about it. Or better yet, we're going to get into it.